Are you treating your move abroad like a project or something that is more haphazard? Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. My name is Patricia Brooks. I am an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And now I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country. I help them to find the confidence and the courage and create some accountability so that they can finally make it happen. And on my channel, I talk about my life in France, about moving abroad and how to dig down deep and find that determination and grit so that you can live the kind of life that you know you were meant to. And today I'm going to be talking about how to build more momentum in your move abroad planning process. And that's by starting to treat your move abroad like a project. All right. Now, I come from a project management background. When I was in Richmond, Virginia, I was a project manager for a health insurance company. And so when I decided I was going to make a move abroad and started planning, I had the tools and the thought processes and really kind of the know-how to go ahead and tackle it as a project. I didn't think twice about it. I didn't let the uncertainty cause me to falter. And that helped me to get here within a year's time after I started treating it like a project. All right. So what does that really mean? What is a project? A project is something that has a beginning and an end, and you're working toward an end goal, a purpose. And within that project, there are tasks that need to be completed. And once you have completed all the tasks that are a part of the project, then you have completed your project and you have had the successful outcome that you're going for. You have completed the project. And so move abroad, you need to have that beginning. And if you're watching this video, you're probably already, thinking about and planning for your move abroad. And so the beginning has already started, but what's that end? I talk to a lot of people who don't necessarily put a line in the sand and say, by April of 2026, I am going to be living in a foreign country. And they fail to do that because they feel like they aren't fortune tellers. They don't have a crystal ball. And so to say that feels a little bit inauthentic. And the fact is, you might not make that date, even if you put up that line in the sand, but you will get to your desired country sooner when you put down a date, because then things start to get real faster. You start to say, oh my gosh, I have a house full of stuff I need to get rid of. And you start taking action. So a project is something that you're working toward, a goal that you're working toward that has a beginning and an end. And one of the ways that you can start to create this mindset of, being the project manager of your move abroad is by creating a project charter. Now, this sounds like, oh my gosh, there's so much I'm going to have to do to put this in place. Now, what I'm talking about here is not a complete charter that you would use in a business setting, well, at least not yet. I'm talking about thinking about it from the lens of, okay, I have a date that I'm moving toward. So that would be something that you would want to document. I have the end game, the end goal. I know the country at least, and maybe the city where I'm going to move to. Talk to quite a few people who are still undecided, whether that's because they haven't traveled a lot and they don't know where would be good for them, or maybe they've traveled a lot and they have enjoyed a lot of different places that they've been. And so that leaves them in this uncertainty. But if you don't have that, you can't create a project because you don't know what the end game is, what you are going toward, what you are working to complete. All right. So this project charter has lots of different parts to it. It's got the scope, what is going to be a part of this project and what's going to be outside of the project. What are you not working toward? Who are the people who are impacted for this project? With a move abroad, if you're not moving alone, you've got family members. If you are moving alone, maybe you have family members who are not coming with you, and you still need to make sure that you have a plan to stay in touch. If you are moving and you're going to be working with people who are going to help you to find lodging or with the visa process, there are people who are going to be impacted by your move abroad as well. And you're going to need to care for them. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the deliverables portion of your project charter. Now, what is a deliverable? A deliverable is completed work, right? You're going to have tasks in your project that once you complete all of the tasks in that project successfully, then you will have completed your project. So a deliverable is that completed work, all right? And I think if you look at it this way and think about, there are going to be different buckets of work that you're going to need to complete in order to make your move abroad, then you can start to organize things. And so I want to talk about how to start treating your move abroad like a project, thinking about the project deliverables of moving abroad, and at a high level. And at the end, stay tuned to the end, because I'm going to share with you how you can get a document that will help you think through what your project deliverables are, what your purpose in moving abroad is, so that you can feel a little bit more organized and reduce some of the uncertainty that may be causing you to drag your feet or procrastinate or not feel like you have the means to make this happen. The means, and I say the means, the wherewithal is what I mean by that. Okay? So I'm going to give you some sentences that you're going to want to fill in. And again, I'm going to give you a link to a resource you can download to help you think through this process even more. But the first one is, the country I'm moving to is blank, right? That is the first deliverable that you're going to need to complete in order to get your move abroad plan started. If you don't have that, you're not going to know what is required to get the visa. And so requirements to complete a visa are deliverables, right? And without that, it's going to be impossible to complete a project. It's going to be impossible to define the project as well. I think the second key thing that you're going to need to decide or determine is how you're going to support yourself financially in your new country. This is something that trips a lot of people up, especially if they're still working and their company doesn't have a remote option overseas. And this can be challenging, because if you feel like your work is the thing that is holding you back, you might need to get a little bit more creative. But there are ways to do this. I moved abroad on a sabbatical initially. I didn't know what my next professional step would be, but I knew that I needed to be in France. And so I got here. And then I saw a path forward. But to do that, I needed to have enough in savings to be able to support myself for a couple of years so that I could then figure that out. So that was one way. Another way is to find a company that would sponsor you to move abroad, right? That is a type of visa, a work visa. Another one is maybe you are retired and you have a pension, and that will support you. Maybe you want to start a business, and you can get a visa, a business visa. The visa I'm on now is called a Profession Libérale visa, and that allowed me to start a business here in France. And there are different requirements based on whichever visa that you go for. So knowing the visa type is important. So the visa I will apply for is blank. And the requirements for that visa are, and then you're going to want to list out all of the documents that are required, all of the resources that you're going to need to show that you have in order to get that visa. And know what other requirements, like a visa appointment and all of that. That will help set you on a path to gaining some clarity on your move abroad. Because I talk to a lot of people, and the thing that hangs them up is, there's so much uncertainty. But pulling together the deliverables portion of a project charter will help you to see all of the things that you're going to need to deliver or show or create or build in order to make your dream of living abroad a reality. Okay, do you see how this is working? If you do, give this video a thumbs up. Now, you may have already started thinking about the visa requirements. You may have already started thinking about where you're going to be living in terms of, am I going to buy or am I going to rent when I move to my new country, right? Those are the logistical things that are more top of mind for people who are planning a move abroad. But something that you might not be thinking about, but will have a real impact on how quickly you're able to make this move abroad and how sustainably you're able to make this move abroad is your success congruence. Now, what is success congruence? Success congruence is something that I work with my clients on. And there are 3 things that need to be true at a very high level for you to be able to reach a goal that you're going for. You need to, number 1, believe that the goal that you're going for is possible and possible for you to achieve. So is moving abroad something you believe is possible for you? You might see me doing it and say, yeah, it's possible. But for you, is it possible? And if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, say you're a 4 or 5, yeah, maybe it's possible. You are not going to get the traction you need to make the move abroad happen. If you say you are a 10, honestly a 10, then you have the confidence to figure things out, not self-sabotage and move forward. The second thing on the success congruence triangle is your level of commitment. Now, if you don't believe that it's possible for you, then most likely your commitment level is not going to be there, because if you don't believe it, then why are you going to waste your time doing the things that are going to get you there? And you might be scratching your head and saying, well, I want to move abroad. That's why I'm working toward this. Why wouldn't I be committed? Sometimes we adopt goals that are really somebody else's goals. Or maybe they were a goal for us earlier in our lives, and we're still hanging on to that, and things have changed for us, but we haven't changed our goals. And so we say we want to do this thing, and we do some work toward it, and then we put it aside, and do some work toward it and put it aside, and we never seem to get there. And that could be because of a lack of commitment, because maybe it's no longer your goal. And the third thing on the success congruence triangle is deservability. In your mind, do you deserve to be living in a foreign country? And you might scratch your head at this one too. I want to move abroad. Yeah, I deserve to live abroad. How true is that for you really? A lot of times we have what I call a gremlin that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough to have the kind of life that I want. And if that kind of life is living abroad, then your deserve level might be low. It might not be a 10 or a 9 where it will really help you to make that move abroad. Because if you feel worthy of it, you're not going to have guilt. You're going to push forward. You're not going to let other people say, oh, why are you doing that? Other people can't do it, so why should you do it? And be taken off course because of that. So if you're a 9 or a 10 on all 3 of those, you're in good shape in terms of success congruence. You're less likely to self-sabotage. You're going to build momentum as you list the deliverables that need to be accomplished in order for you to reach your goal. But if you are not, if you answer those questions honestly and you are falling short, then it's time for us to have a conversation, because I am a life coach who helps people work through things that keep them stuck. If they're self-sabotaging, if they don't have a belief in themselves, that's where it comes in. And so if that sounds like something that you need, even just based on this conversation, or when you download the resource I give you and you fill it out and you say, yeah, I could use some bolstering of my confidence, or understand where my commitment level is and how to improve that, or get past that, the lack of deservability I have, then let's talk. I'm going to put a link to my calendar so that we can have a complimentary discovery call and kind of unpack that and move you forward. Okay. So there are two more things I want to address in terms of deliverables for your project charter. And the first one is the things that you need to close out in your current country. And these things could be making sure that you have an address so that mail can be sent there. You can have an address for your taxes, whatever that address might be needed for. Things like making sure that you have a bank account where you can withdraw money and not have a foreign ATM fee. So those are some things that you're going to want to consider or care for before you move abroad. And those are deliverables for your move abroad plan. And there are a list of others. I'm going to put a link to a move abroad checklist that can help you think through what some of those others are. And then there are things that you're going to want to stand up in your current country before you get there. And some of these things you may have already thought about because you have to deal with them for your visa, like having an address to show where you're going to be, at least for the first 90 days, and other things. So if you're transporting a pet, what are the requirements for that? So as I said, I'm going to put a link to a move abroad checklist that will help you think through the things you need to shut down in your old country, things you need to stand up in your new country, so that you can have a more complete list of deliverables for your project charter. Now this, like I said, this is not the complete project charter. That includes so much more. But a big part of that project charter is the purpose and why you're moving abroad. And that's something that if you're interested in kind of digging into that a little bit more, talk about, what's your why for moving abroad in a lot of my videos. But sometimes it's hard to really get to the deeper purpose. There are reasons that you want to move abroad. A reason is a justification for moving abroad. Maybe it's cost of living is cheaper, but a purpose is something that's deeper, something that speaks to your core values. And I think when you have a clarity on that, that is important too. And that goes into a project charter as well. So if you're interested in my doing a video like this, but focusing on another area of the project charter, whether it's the project purpose or the stakeholders, the people who are going to be impacted from your move abroad, whether that be family members who are coming with you, family members who are staying behind, people you might engage to help get the project done, then let me know in the comments by detailing what it is that you'd like for me to do another video on. Okay? I hope this was interesting for you. I know project management is not always the most fun topic to tackle, but I think it's important as you make your move abroad to start seeing yourself as the kind of person who is managing their move abroad like a project so that you can gain the momentum and finally start living your life abroad. Now, as I said, if you're interested in talking to me about getting into success congruence, definitely schedule a discovery call. If you are interested in getting more information that would help you to know more about what some of the deliverables are, how to go about that, then I offer a paid information session, and you can schedule that. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.